It's important to understand, hopefully, this will help you understand just how important it is that your mind and your body are not only connected, but how important it is that you know that there is a connection and how you can impact that connection, and how having a poor health set and a very strong mindset and vice versa, though maybe a pathway for being better in the other, will certainly not be a strong enough foundation for you to be successful day in and day out. Hey everyone, welcome to the Endgame Podcast, where I bet you didn't know what you didn't know. I'm Dr. Ryan Wakeham, successful entrepreneur and your Endgame coach. I'm here to talk to you today about a topic which is interesting to me. As you know, we've talked many times in the past around mindset, but I'm here to talk to you really about that connection between the mind body. So, mastering the mind body connection for health and success. I want you to sit back, relax, and let's talk about that topic right now. As I've said, I'm a board certified psychiatrist, and the idea of mindset's critically important to me. I've discussed that on numerous topics in the past and through numerous avenues. And one of the ways I've discussed how you get to a healthy mindset or how you create that platform or environment through which you can have a great and healthy mindset is this idea of grounding in mindfulness, right? So when I think about what creates the environment for a healthy mindset, that begins in your ability to kind of be present in the moment. That's frankly why my outro is my outro, teaching you to exist today. That whole concept is around the idea of being present in the moment or mindfulness. And I've done a podcast on mindfulness itself in the past. But when you think about the mind body connection, right? That the mind is an incredibly powerful thing, and that it can, create itself or create physical representations of itself, even without the person necessarily consciously knowing that. In fact, in mental health, there's a condition named a conversion disorder. And so, where we will see physical symptoms come through that actually tie back not to an organic physical problem or general medical problem, but back to a mental health or psychiatric problem where the mind is or brain is so balled up or so depressed or so anxious that symptoms will come through physically. We'll see that in the form of what we call a non epileptiform seizure spell, where someone looks like they have a seizure when they didn't actually have the electrical activity that would suggest a seizure on an EEG. And so, having said that, it's important to understand that the mind and body are intimately connected. And that's a really good example of just how connected they can be. And then, hearkening that to your business or as an entrepreneur, where obviously healthy mindset and having a strong, resilient mind is critically important to your body and vice versa. They are connected. Just the opposite of what I just explained is also true. So we know that if you put the wrong stuff in your body, you get out of your body what you put into it. We know that motion drives emotion. We scientifically know between data around mirror neurons and just physical exercise and endorphins, if you were to look at yourself in the mirror and look depressed, Eeyore, hunched over, sad face, we know that if you do that day after day, you will actually create the environment in your brain for depression. So motion and visualization and mirror neurons, all of that stuff, physical health, your health set, as David Meltzer would say, is so important to the connection the other way between the body and the mind. So there is a mind body connection, there's a body mind connection, and you must create harmony between the two in order for you to be successful, period. If you have a very healthy body and a very unhealthy mind, your chances of success obviously are deteriorating or drop off, and vice versa. If you have an incredibly healthy mind and an incredibly unhealthy body, your ability to be healthy and successful diminishes with time. And so the connection is critically important. You've heard me talk before. I do a lot of work on both my health set and my mindset to create the resilience, to create the fertility and the brain chemistry and environment and the body chemistry and environment that I want to have in order for me to wake up every morning and be successful. So, critically important, they tie together very closely. The connection goes up and goes down. They feed off one another in a feedback loop. And understanding that there is strong connectivity is step one. There's even more nuances than what I've even discussed. There's nuances around the mind and the gut. So that's called the human biome. You've heard me say I own a juice bar and I drink wheatgrass and ginger every morning for a reason. And that is because your gut, which you put into your body, that stomach, intestines, neurochemistry ties very closely back to the brain. And so, again, mind body connection, even specific areas of your body, not just the general body as a whole. There is clearly science here. There's a number of studies to suggest when you're physically healthier, you're mentally healthier, and vice versa. And we've talked about how motion drives emotion, health set and mindset are critically intertwined. And in order to be successful, you really need to create that foundation in both. And frankly, the healthier those are, the healthier that connection is, the healthier or more successful you are likely to be as a business person or as someone caring for someone else, whether that's a healthcare provider or just a caretaker. When you look at kind of how, right? So I've told you this is the what, the so what, this is why it's important. And then really focusing a little bit more on the how. I mentioned one of the ways to do that is through mindfulness. There's a whole podcast on that. Parts of mindfulness are things like meditation. So if you've looked into box breathing or a variety of forms of meditation, but some of the ways we would teach meditation or we would promote meditation has to do with being present in the moment, really getting the noise out of the brain, trying to focus on here and now. And often the ways you do that are through breathing techniques. Again, there's box breathing, 4 seconds in, hold it for 4 seconds, 4 seconds out, hold it for 4 seconds, and you just keep repeating that process. But there's a variety of different meditation mechanisms, including using digital meditation options like Calm or Headspace. There's a number of tools you can use to create that meditative mind, and I wouldn't hesitate to use those. Maybe first thing in the morning. There's a very famous individual by the name of Wim Hof who's done a lot of work with breathing exercises. He also incorporates cold plunging or ice baths with that. And so the body of evidence around the ability to create that stable platform of the mind body connection is abound. There's a whole lot out there. And I encourage you to find what works best for you, whether that's pure mindfulness techniques, whether that's a meditation technique. I mentioned a little bit ago about visualizations. So there's a couple of different forms there. There's guided imagery where you would close your eyes and again, using meditative processes, kind of envision yourself at a certain endpoint. You kind of start your journey with the endpoint in mind, and you would really actually visualize that. Or golfers, for instance, might close their eyes or might visualize the ball going into the hole before they hit their putt as a way to create that connection and, frankly, create more success. There's things called grounding techniques. I believe I mentioned that in my podcast around mindfulness. So that's just the idea of pairing something to one of your senses so that you can physically ground yourself. Meaning, some people again will carry around smooth rocks. Some people will use a smell as a grounding technique. We know that smell is the most neurochemically tied to memories. So if you wanted to really think about how you could tie a moment down the road to something you can harken back to, that might involve the sense of smell. So, grounding techniques, meditation, Again, more broadly, the idea of mindfulness, visualization, guided imagery, and then honestly, positive affirmations, positive self-talk, being positive. The idea of pessimistic versus optimistic is also incredibly important. If you always see the world as, or the glass as being half empty, if you view the world through that lens, your chances of, again, creating an Eeyore scenario or putting yourself in a negative mindset, therefore a more susceptible health set, and vice versa, goes up. So not only mindfulness, meditation, visualization, grounding, but also keeping a positive outlook, having a positive viewpoint, viewing the lens through what's great about this rather than what is not so great about this. And working on that every day can create an incredible foundation through which you can then have a tremendous resilient health set and mindset, and therefore have the opportunity to be successful. If you've heard David Meltzer speak, he boils it down to what's, I think, really impactful way of thinking, which is if you're unhealthy, he mentions this in terms of physical health. I would actually add to that mental health. But if you are physically or mentally unhealthy, you wake up every morning with just one wish, obviously, to be healthier, to be better. If you are physically and mentally healthy, you wake up every morning with unlimited wishes. You could truly do anything if you're healthy enough to be able to set out on that journey. I know it's critically important that we work on, we master, we spend as much time on our health set and mindset as we do on the other things that we go after in life, because we won't be able to get where we want to go unless we focus on the here and now, and that's on you. So, positive affirmations, positive self talk is also critically important. We've talked in the past about ideas around imposter syndrome. We think about how does negativity creep in? How do we not promote ourselves but demote ourselves? And again, things like imposter syndrome, things like putting the wrong stuff in your body, things like not being able to be present in the moment, all of those, the opposites of what I've just discussed, could obviously really crack the foundation through which you're trying to build that future, that success, that healthcare, that end game. So thinking about what you have to do to view through a positive lens and how you can create that foundation, that ecosystem, that environment for both healthy mind and healthy body, knowing that they're intimately intertwined is critically important. And I would encourage you to work on mindset, work on meditation, work on guided imagery, work on grounding in positive affirmations or positive self talk as a way to really create an incredible base from which you can then grow and be successful. In conclusion, it's important to understand, hopefully, this will help you understand just how important it is that your mind and your body are not only connected, but how important it is that you know that there is a connection and how you can impact that connection, and how having a poor health set and a very strong mindset and vice versa, though maybe a pathway for being better in the other, will certainly not be a strong enough foundation for you to be successful day in and day out. So, health set, mindset, critically intertwined. There is clearly a connection. The human biome is well studied. Mind body connection is well studied through conversion disorders and the like. There's a number of tools you can use: mindfulness, meditation, grounding, positive affirmations, visualizations, journaling, we've talked about in the past. There's a number of things that will creep in as hurdles that you have to be able to both identify to understand that they exist, but also what are you going to do about them? And then finally, understanding that if you can do those things, if you can be aware that there's a mind body connection, if you can work on how you create and strengthen that connection in a healthy way, that'll create a strong enough foundation for you to then be successful over time. in whatever it is you're choosing to be successful in towards getting to your end game. So, with that, again, I'm Dr. Ryan Wakeham, your end game coach. I'm here to teach you how to exist today so that you can expand tomorrow and create the ultimate end game of your wildest desires. If you like this episode, please don't hesitate to press like, subscribe, share this episode with a friend. And if you need something, please reach out. Talk to you soon.